You're being held up by a tree, so don't fall, all right? How you guys doing? This week I've been reading a book by Louis L'Amour called Bendigo Shafter. And there was a passage I got to on Tuesday that just stopped me for the whole week. It stopped me from reading for the whole week. It is Sunday now, and I never got not more than a few pages past that, because I just kept thinking about it, kept reflecting on it, kept going to my notebook and writing about it. And that's what I want to share about. In this story, in the passage, Bendigo Shafter was reading Henry David Thoreau's Walden, and he was reflecting about his own process of becoming a man. And he says in it, I needed what all men needed, a destination. He said, in the final analysis, it's not what anybody else thinks of a man that matters, but what he thinks of himself. And this was him in kind of reflection or dialogue with the Thoreau quote, public opinion is a weak tyrant compared to a man's own opinions of himself. It is what a man thinks of himself that determines, or rather indicates, his fate. Oh baby, I love these quotes. I love these quotes, and I think they matter so much. They're so important because the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we believe about what we're good at, what we're bad at, what we're like, all of that stuff matters so much. And whether you believe it or not, or think it or not, what we think about ourselves, it gets reinforced in our behaviors. It gets played out in our behaviors, and then it kind of becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy in a lot of ways. My own personal anecdote for that is, from as long as I could remember, I was very bad at school. Very bad. The first test I ever remember taking, I remember failing, having to sit in the back of the class with an assistant teacher while everybody else moved on, and I was getting retaught the stuff and trying to get pushed into passing the test. And then that was my whole school career, was just D, D, C, C, F, D, C, V. Not V, what am I doing? But I was failing every day. I was always one step away from failing. And of course, school districts will do whatever they got to do to nudge you into not failing. So I survived. And I made it to college and immediately put on academic probation. And I remember thinking, like, well, what do you want? With my dad, like arguments, like, what do you want? I'm an idiot. I've always been stupid. What do you expect? Like, I can't do this. And I ran up against a teacher at this time that was not willing to help me, nudge me along. You know what I mean? They weren't going to give me the excuses or the extra time or this or that. They just said, if you want to do well in this class, you need to work a lot harder. And they asked me, what are you doing to do well in this class? Like, what is your goal? How many hours a week are you studying? And I was kind of like, I do my homework. I come and I listen and I take notes in class. And they're like, okay, how often are you going through those notes? And so they were kind of calling me out, right? And making me realize that I wasn't doing as much work. Because I've learned to not do the work. I learned that even if I do the work, I'm not going to do well. So what does it matter? I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to fail anyway. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at statistics. It was a statistics class. I was like, I'm not good at this. I can't do this. But I tried, because there was a lot going on in my life at the time. My dad had been kind of taking it to me with do you ever even think about what the future looks like? I need you to get your eyes up, son, and look at where you're heading, because your life is not on a good path. You need to think about what you're doing. He was hitting me with those speeches. And so I was willing to listen to this professor, because I was like, all right, something's got to change. I got to do something differently. And so I started to go to the library, started to study, started to put in hours reading the book, which, like, I never opened the book. I started to raise my hand in class and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm completely lost. And the long story short is I got a 97% in that class. Long story short is, by the end of my undergraduate career, I was like obsessed with school. I was going with the professors to present research I'd been doing in different states. It was a complete 180, and it's not like I got my brain changed and swapped out with somebody smart or somebody who liked school. No, the perception about who I was changed. The belief about what I was and what I was capable of, that changed. Those stories we tell ourselves about who we are, those matter. They do. And now, this is where the story gets complex, right? In our day and age, is throw social media into the mix. My fear for social media is that it affords us the opportunity to stop our self-work at the perceived. I don't have to actually be a writer. I don't actually have to be this or that. I have the nominal data of likes, comments, reshares, all this stuff telling me I've made it, I've done it. But go back to that dangerous mindset video I did. That's a hollow, counterfeit, empty calorie version of it. That Louis L'Amour quote of every man needs a destination. I think that's so important, right? We need purpose. We need personal purpose that we're fighting towards, not for this person or what that person thinks or this accolade or this award. For ourselves, I think it matters for us, for those who want it. Some people have just chosen pessimism. Some people are like, no, this life sucks, not worth it. But for you, if it is worth it, I think it's important to be in that struggle and battle for more, because we all have that yearning, like this empty hunger feeling of this unnamed want for more. And I think that's something that's worth exploring and fighting for in a real fashion, in a real manner. And making sure you don't just stop at the perceived, that you go and truly find what success is to you. Because remember these quotes that we started with. It's what a man thinks of himself. That's what matters, right? Our opinions are the things that determine and indicate our fate. Any success, any failure, any this or that, it means nothing until you assign it meaning, right? We get to decide what everything means for us. So if you want more, hey, story's not over. You're still here. You still have an opportunity. So go out and make it happen and fight for whatever it is that you're fighting for. And know that the story you're believing right now, the story you've always been told, the story that's always been reinforced, it could be wrong. It could be wrong. Give yourself an opportunity to see that you might be wrong. I think that's it. I don't know. I know I didn't say everything I wanted to say on it. Like I said, I've been writing about this stuff all week, so I'll probably do another video about Bendigo Shafter here soon. But in the meantime, guys, take care. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm. And see you next time.